Inside Thursday night, how's it going? Alright, strip back, good crack, multi-trade podcast. Share the knowledge you know, help to make our sector grow. Everybody's learning from experts and the journeymen. Insights.
Right, we're back. Season 6, Episode 7. I'm Stephen Buckley.
And I'm Keith Delahan.
And this is Inside the Stripped Back podcast, sponsored by Robust Lighting.
And in association with Snickers Workwear Ireland.
Good episode lined up this week. We've got 3 apprentices coming in to the studio for a chat. We've got one of your lads, Keith, Dan Sadler.
Yeah, looking forward to him coming in. Looking forward to get on the challenge wall and see what he's made of. And then we have Jordan Malongi, who we've had on the previous season. Obviously he's like literally sharing his journey with us now at this stage. So yeah, he's coming in to give the challenge wall a go and give us a bit of insight into his phase 4 progression.
Yeah, we've got Zoe Hines, an ESB technician, currently in phase 4 in Carlow. So she's coming in, taking on the challenge wall as well with the lads, and going to get their reactions of what it was like to do the challenge wall and how their apprenticeships are going and everything else that goes with it. So hopefully it'll be a bit of a look into the life of an electrical apprentice.
Yeah, and fair play to them for coming in. Takes a bit of bravery to, make the step up, jump on the challenge wall. Like, we've had seasoned pros now, fully qualified lads that don't fancy taking it on, but these young guns are happy enough to come in and give it a go. So fair play to them.
Yeah, and then later on in the episode, we've got a really thought-provoking and emotional interview with Abdul Bari Ahmadzai. He's an Afghanistanian who has come to Ireland as an asylum seeker, but has dug himself deep when he's got here, got himself involved with Open Doors Initiative, and is helping not just the Irish community who is in need of help, like the traveller community, people from socio-economic areas, but he's also helping fellow asylum seekers coming into the country as well, and helping them find work and find their feet in a new country. Yeah,
no, 100%. He's really doing great things, and you've had the pleasure of meeting him at a couple of events, and he's a great man to help people, get them back into employment, and further themselves, which is only a great thing to do.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. But I guess we'll rock on. We'll get the overload segment going and invite the 3 apprentices in now to have a chat with us.
Let's jump into it.
This podcast is sponsored by Robust Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company.
Jump over and download the My Robust app, see their full range and catalogue, and make the next order with ease.
Right, guys, welcome to the podcast.
Well, how's things?
All good. We've just had a bit of a mad night on the challenge wall. So, how did you fare?
I was grand, yeah, a bit under pressure now, but it was good though. Like, I did enjoy it actually.
Yeah. Enjoy it, Jordan?
I did indeed, yeah. I think I started off well, a bit at the start, but then I got there near the end, but done all right, yeah.
Dan, winner.
Well, I thought I fumbled at the very start there and pulled it reek the coil across the room.
Yeah. Well,
it's stressful now.
There's a lot to be said for the pressure that comes with people staring at you doing your job. Like,
100%.
Shaking.
It'll definitely help you on the field, because you usually have some old lad or some old one looking over your shoulder anyway. So, especially when you're doing domestic. So, fair play to you.
Yeah.
Brave enough to even come in and do it.
Yeah,
no, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Anybody that's willing to come in and do it, even Irish Sparks, Irish apprentices,
we have our fully qualified lads that won't come in and do it.
Really? Yeah.
Like, fair play to you, is a legend.
It was a good crack, yeah.
Jordan, we had you on before.
That's right.
You shared your story, your backstory, and everything else that sort of brought you from your childhood through school and then into the apprenticeship. But how have you been getting on since?
Grand, yeah. I'm going to have to come back in phase 4 in March, so yeah, everything's grand, yeah.
Yeah.
All good, yeah.
Keeping a keen eye on your Instagram page, so you're doing well, so
appreciate that.
The podcast's always rooting for you.
Yeah.
Back out inside. Who are you working with again?
A&L Electrical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the type of work still
commercial? More commercial, yeah. commercial, yeah.
Yeah, it's great to see. Zoe, what's your background? Because we haven't had the chance of. I've been talking to Martha Kinch in the background on Instagram. She's been giving me a bit of lowdown of the kind of person you are, and she's only good things to say. But,
That's good.
yeah, but if you'd like to let us and maybe our listeners know just a little bit about yourself and what got you into the trade.
So I'm 22. I'm from Carlow. I did 2 years of college after school, and I was doing biomedical science. Kind of decided it wasn't for me. I just kept failing. Failing first year, failing second year. So started working in retail for a long time. Then I kind of just got sick of it after a while. So I had like a midlife crisis at the age of like 20. And I rang my stepdad one day and I was crying and I was like, what do? I want to do something good, you know? And he was like, try an apprenticeship, see if it works for you. If it works out for you, it works out for you. If not, you can leave, you know? So I applied with the ESB then in February 2022 and I started with them then in August 2022. I'm still with them now, so I'm absolutely loving it. Couldn't picture myself doing anything else, to be honest.
Happy days.
And Dan, you had a handy one, didn't you?
Had a handy one, yeah. Well, I was in school during COVID. Started working with Keith when he started off.
Yeah.
Just decided,
Best decision you ever made.
yeah, it is.
I have to say, I've had the pleasure actually of working with you, even with the likes of Keith and yourself on rewires and stuff like that. Like, and I think it was probably one of the first things I said to you, like, was you've got a good lad there. Like,
Yeah, head and the shoulders, yeah.
yeah.
I don't want to praise him too much, you know.
Coming around.
This video gets put out, doesn't it?
Hey,
That's
hey,
right.
back a review time, is it?
Review time, yeah. End of the year review.
What kind of work are you doing with the likes of electrical?
All just house bashing, really.
Yeah.
It's grand.
I'll make it sound a bit more.
Wiring up of the houses is the same.
Oh, yeah. That's not bad.
Yeah, renewables as well.
Yeah.
Did you get into the solar as well, eh?
Not yet. I think.
We're doing one at your own house now at the
Oh,
minute.
yeah, well, that, yeah.
So
Thought about that,
Saturday
yeah.
morning he's gonna
Finish
install his
that off.
first Anchor Solix X1 Saturday morning
Would that be his first go at the anchor?
at the Anchor one. Yeah, he's
The
done.
Anchor,
He's
yeah.
done. What have you done? Solace.
Some
Huawei-
Solace ones,
Huawei.
yeah.
Yeah,
Good
so,
bit,
yeah, we have a good background. We do a lot. We do a bit of everything, don't we?
Yeah.
Try to dip our finger and everything. So
Dan in the van now.
Dan has his own van, yeah.
In the van. That's a big change, isn't it? I'd say, to get the.
Grand.
He's well used to people looking over his shoulder anyway.
Trying not to get tick nose of anything.
It's a big difference to be able to get the van, isn't it? Get the
Oh, yeah,
tools,
it's
stuff
big
like that.
confidence boost.
Yeah.
Big confidence boost now at the work.
Now, in fairness, now I'd say once every 2 weeks I get a call or a text from a customer saying that lad you sent out was lovely, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So look, it pays to be polite.
Yeah.
Like Dan said, some of our jobs you just want to pull your hair out. You know what I mean? Customers are very difficult, but you just have to.
Especially them fan jobs.
The fan, yeah, we do extract fans for,
Extra fans, yeah.
for council installs. You know what I mean, or
Right.
grant works and stuff like that. And you know, some people just aren't. You know, they're not very welcoming. Just let's put it that way. But look, that the old saying, isn't it? The customer's always right type of thing. So
Yeah, true. Yeah, they're
just
the one that pay you.
get it done and get out of there,
Yeah.
and you know, job's done. So
What phase are you in now?
Just finished phase 4 there.
Phase 4, yeah.
In Galway, so it was a
Galway,
good
nice
bit of fun.
crack.
Yeah,
it's a good spin.
it was good out spin now, but
Enjoyed
have to
it.
do it. Yeah. it was
Where
good
were you,
crack.
Jordan?
I was in Letterkenny.
Letterkenny.
Letterkenny, yeah. I was actually all right in fairness now. I actually enjoyed it. The electrical science teacher he was really good. He was, yeah.
You staying up there?
I was staying up there, yeah. Was come back on the weekends, but yeah, I was staying up there. But no, it was great. I enjoyed it. Great crack. I was there actually. Funny enough, I was actually there with one of my mates that I'm from, like Blanche. I live in Blanche. Yeah, he was there as well. So, which is good.
That was easier for you. Yeah.
Easier for me, yeah. But no, phase 4 is actually. It's obviously a lot of people say it's a big jump from phase 2. For me personally, I don't think it was really that much of a big jump. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't really find it that too difficult. Now, in fairness, but apart from that, was good. Yeah.
Where'd you do your phase? Zoe?
I'm actually in phase 4 now
Oh,
at the
you're in
moment.
phase
Yeah,
four?
yeah.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Carlow.
Oh, Carlo.
So
You got that
sweet.
handy one.
Yeah, it's only like 15 minutes from me, so
Oh,
I'm
that's
not.
great, Ellie.
Yeah, no.
Works out the odd time, doesn't it?
No, it's going good now, to be fair. I have only started now the start of April, so have yet to sit an exam, but I think my first exam is probably like 2 weeks away, so.
What's it like coming off an ESB style site, like, and then into, say, like a phase
Yeah.
4 that would be, could be considered predominantly pushing towards the likes of your standard sparks that would be domestic, industrial, and commercial?
I kind of, not that I say we have it harder, but I feel like we kind of have to knuckle down a little bit more, like, you know, but they are quite good in my job, you know, like they'd be, you know, if we have any questions, the lads on site will 100% help us. Like, you know, I was heading off to phase 4 and the lads and workers saying, look, if you need anything, ring us. Like, it's no bother at all. So I'd say I'd have to knuckle down a little bit more. Like, when I was in phase 2, I failed my P1 twice.
Right.
But I did all that study myself and got back up again and then passed it the third time. So
Fair play. You see your work paid off on the challenge wall.
yeah, I've come a long way since not really having a clue what I'm doing.
Sometimes the time doesn't reflect the job. Some people
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
the job a lot
Yeah.
better. If you
Yeah.
get me.
That was like me as well. Yeah.
Yours was.
Yeah. Do you get me? Yeah. Listen, like that was me. Like I remember when I done all my exams, I was probably one of the last few, 2 or 3 lads in the workshop getting it done. Do you get me? I might take my time getting it done, but I will get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we done the standard as well.
Yeah,
like, you know.
quality,
Speed doesn't matter.
Exactly. Because there's some lads that horse it over, like, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, come on, lads.
Yeah.
No need for that now.
Yeah.
You know.
Like yourself, like Jordan, we sort of got wind of you from, you know, being proud of your work in college and putting it up there online. And the likes of yourself, sorry, like you were mentioning there, you know, obviously failing the exams originally and then knuckling down. And what's your sort of goal with the page that you're setting up now? Because I see you sharing a lot of, you know, vital, informative information on it.
So I get very wound up in my own head and I kind of don't understand. And when I don't understand, I get extremely frustrated. And I would say there's probably more people like that out there, like me. So I was thinking, you know, what if I was sitting in bed the night before the P1 exam, scrolling through TikTok, and I had seen the type of videos that I'm posting now, I would have been probably grand and I would have probably passed it the first time. But mainly just aiming content at apprentices who are struggling a little bit in the college, with whatever that I can help with, I suppose, that I understand myself, you know.
Brilliant.
And for the 3 years, like having been in phase 4 at the minute, like what's one thing you could give as a, I suppose, a nugget to any other apprentice going into phase 4 or the apprenticeship in general?
I'd say just keep on top of all the work, making sure you're taking everything down, really. Just going over every night. Don't let it all just pile up on top of you.
Studies consistently throughout the whole thing. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's good crack going out and drinking, but
Thursday night.
yeah. It's horrible though if you come back for bad news saying you failed, like.
Yeah.
Just have to put the work in.
No, me personally, I always say to lads is always ask questions. Always ask. That's the most important thing to always ask. Sure, you're there to learn, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're there to learn, so always ask. Because you always say that to folks, always ask. Turn up every single day, especially in college. One thing I think that lets a lot of people down is attendance. You know, attendance lets a lot of people down from what I saw personally myself. So always turn up every single day, always ask, always give your best. Yeah, there is going to be some days where you're a bit lost, you don't really understand, but, you know, go back to the library, whatever, sit with one of the lads, whatever, and, you know, go through it, and then you'll end up fucking figuring it out. So,
I'm a firm believer in what you put in, you get out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And my stepdad has always told me, fail to prepare to fail.
Yeah.
So that's the motto I go by. So in my opinion, if you don't knuckle down, my advice would be to knuckle down, because it's not easy. Like, you know, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
But if you knuckle down, you'll be A1.
Do you enjoy the academic side of it? Like, you know, getting in and working with your hands and getting on the tools and learning how to put things together is great. Like, but do you find learning how and why things work is also stimulating for you?
Yeah, definitely. I do enjoy it because there's certain things that you learn in college that you don't really learn on site. That's quite informative. They really learn, you know. But one thing I learned, especially in phase 4, it's really important. I think you really learn a lot when the instructors actually who's teaching you actually knows his stuff. You know what I mean? For example, we had renewable energies classes in phase 4, which didn't have in phase 2, and your man who was teaching it, his background was basically on renewable energies, you know, so he knew his stuff when he was talking about all these stuff. And then there was certain subjects that we had for craft practice, and just didn't have a clue what they're on about, really, you know, and it was just boring, really. Yeah. And then obviously the electrical science, your man, he knew his shit, like, you know, he was really good, he knew his stuff. So when you're in his class, laser focused, and when he's explaining something, you understand, and you get the best out of it. So yeah, definitely.
about yourself, Dan? Like I heard from Keith, like that the feedback that was coming from yourself was that you were milling into the practical work.
Yeah.
You're really good at it.
Milling into that, enjoy all that work with my hands. Hate anything to do with reading, writing, anything like that.
Love your honesty, Dan.
Yeah. And one thing I will say though is trying to figure out the regs book and all that. The teacher that was teaching me, good old him. He used to be a recce inspector, so he wrote part of the book. So he explained everything to us down to a T, like helped us every which way we could. Like when I came to the exam, knew everything I had to look for. Knew what way to go through the book, read the book. I suppose that was good help, like with T2 and all that.
Another big one for apprenticeship or apprentices. What's the snack of the day on site?
Red Bull.
Red Bull, yeah.
Can I ask you what drink was?
Sorry.
Sometimes the drink is the snack. It's hard.
Yeah.
True, yeah, definitely.
Got 2 Red Bulls. I know what you are anyway. He's a mango.
Mango Loco Monster. Yeah.
Or the white one either.
Yeah.
The white one either. Yeah.
Second that, yeah. So
I was going to ask you.
no.
Because we're older.
Yeah,
the
what's
tea
your
or
coffee? Is it?
Yeah, I coffee. Yeah, all day long. Yeah.
I'm the monster. I'm still the monster.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Trying to
Just
keep on to the last bit of young.
Yeah. Trying to drag it out, but
The thing that keeps you going.
10 o'clock break, going down, Spar, Centra, wherever.
Yeah.
What's the breakfast roll filling? Or lunchtime even, what's the lunchtime filling if you're waiting for that? How do you get
Spiced chicken fillet roll with just taco sauce.
Yeah.
And
I can second that actually. Yeah, that's exactly what I get. So.
And whatever drink really, I think probably might go with Lucasade, yeah.
Oh, Red Luke said I
Red
love
Lucozade,
them. Yeah, they're nice.
That's me really, to be honest. That's me really, yeah.
Is that the original or the sport?
Yeah, but the big one.
Oh, yeah.
The big one.
Has any of you ever been sent for the long stand or the glass hammer?
No.
No.
Do you
What's
know
that?
Where it is?
What?
When they send you on there.
I know what it is.
What, would you send to the shop?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I ever.
No, never. Never.
I
Thank
got
God.
flagged for go down there, like you'd be having like so I was on a massive site like at the start of my apprenticeship. It was out in Finglas when all the flats had been torn down and all the duplexes now were being built.
Oh, yeah.
So there was probably about 50 to 60 sparks on the site at the time. Like I was doing a full rundown, like with
Jesus.
2 or 3 of us going down as apprentices. But so you'd have the full list, like so it'd be like all your Snickers, and your rolls, and your Cokes and crisps and the whole
You'd
lot.
be there all day, literally.
Your lads hand you stuff like looking for the, you know, I need this change back and all that crack.
Lads hand you a fiver and
Yeah.
you're getting the tenner's worth.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
You come down and then somewhere buried into it all like was a packet of strawberry Lillettes. So
Oh,
like I had no clue what a pack of Lillettes was before I went to the shop. Like so I found out later, like, you know, it's obviously women sanitary stuff.
No way.
I go down, but you say you can't get them, they're special, you can only get them across the counter. I'll be down there and I'll be at the counter, like I said, I need a pack of strawberry Lillettes. Man, we come to can't
Up to that counter,
you
like.
can't get them in strawberry, like I've got them in lard or extra lard or yeah, no, that's what I got caught out on.
What's the tool, the best tool in your tool bag, or your favourite tool? I'll leave you with last. Know what yours is.
Rambo.
Rambo.
Say,
That's a good one, actually.
shit, I don't know, just say pliers. Use for cutting, use for
What brand?
dating hose.
A brand.
Nipex, that's alright.
Yeah.
The red and yellow ones. Don't
Go
go
on.
The VDE.
Yeah, I'll go with my snips, yeah. My snips.
What's the brand?
Will ya?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Probably the knife.
The nice.
Or the Nipex 5-1.
You got the machete.
Well, I
yeah.
shall.
Yeah. The machete out, yeah.
No shout out for the Ergos, no. Hang on.
Unreal. Absolutely savage.
So they'd be a go-to on site now for an ESP.
For me,
tech,
100%, yeah, because the cables we have are too big to be used.
That's
Strippers or
PVC.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Concentric cables as well, yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So what's the plans then for the future? Like, is it obviously Dan? You're working with Keith. You see yourself running jobs.
Hopefully, yes.
Jobs already, yeah.
Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah.
All goes well. Don't get in an argument with him.
You want half the business.
Few and far between.
Jordan, what's it for yourself?
Myself, well, I have another year and a couple of months before I'm qualified. So next July, I'll be qualified.
So the goal is just to get qualified anyway.
Get qualified, yeah. Well, in fairness, now actually, I do want to get into more domestic side of things, especially when it comes to renewables. In phase 4 in my team with communications, we had to do a project on, I can't remember the actual topic, but I don't mind renewables anyways. So renewables is something I definitely would like to get into, and that type of work, and obviously working more domestic as well. So that's something I definitely want to get into, going towards the end of my apprenticeship, and then obviously after as well, once I complete that as well, and then obviously whatever happens then. But I have my own goals as well once I'm qualified, but keep that to myself.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens then, yeah.
What about yourself?
Well, my aim is to pass all the exams, qualifying ESB,
Do you see
become a
yourself
fully qualified NT.
see yourself obviously being qualified and having somebody underneath you like you've obviously been under?
Yeah, do you know, I actually love an apprentice. I think I'd thrive with an apprentice now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, I don't really know how to tell you that I would, but no, I think definitely qualified in ESB would be good.
Because
Now.
not everybody has the mindset to be a teacher,
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I'd be happy enough to be shown somebody.
Yeah.
Once I know,
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't mind working apprentices. They're grand, yeah. Well, obviously I am an apprentice myself now, but no, some of them are actually good, especially the ones that, they have the head for it really, there's some out there that I won't say too much, but but no, there is a good few that have the head for it, and obviously when you're working with them, it's great, especially when I'm working with lads. I wouldn't be the type of the person like, oh yeah, go and do this, go and do that, and I'll be standing back. I'll work with the lad, like, and get the job done or whatever. But yeah.
It's just taking the good positive stuff, isn't it, that has been sort of passed down to you and trying to relay that down onto the next person, isn't it?
100%. Like I work with first years all the time, like, and I just kind of pass off tips and tricks that I've learned through the apprenticeship to them,
Exactly.
Is there a benefit in your apprenticeship? Dan will know what I mean by this. But is there a benefit of working under someone that is not actually good in their trade? As in, you work with plenty of people that are good.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Not me now.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
To see the wrong side of the trade.
Yeah, I suppose it would be actually,
Definitely, 100%.
100%, yeah.
Definitely.
I get what you're saying. I've seen a lot of the good and the bad throughout different aspects of sectors and all that I've worked in. And some of the stuff that you see is stuff that you would never see yourself doing.
Yeah.
And so you could never put yourself in the mind frame of ever seeing that type of work because you would never see that quality in yourself. So to be able to see other people doing it sort of does give you a bit of an eye-opener, and obviously to show the next person, because I had a transition year student come in and shadow me for a whole week on the job, and funnily enough 2 out of the 3 jobs that were worth showing him were horrible. Now it was coming onto somebody else's work, and because in the maintenance game you're coming across a lot of other people's work.
Big time.
And it was an eye-opener for him to be able to see the dangers and the bad quality of work that's out there. Yeah. And then to be able to take that teaching moment and actually say, look, like what Keith was mentioning with the likes of yourself, Jordan, and the rest is quality over quantity.
Big time.
Like you can work at a good pace.
Exactly,
and get the job done
100%
right and, properly and within regulation. And it doesn't have to be at like sonic speed.
Exactly.
And if you can get it done in sonic speed, brilliant. And as long as it's to the same quality. But if not, I think Keith would appreciate more like if the job was done right and he wasn't getting a call back,
Yeah.
No, I think trust is the main thing as well. I think when you're getting left to do jobs by yourself, I think it's a good thing. Like, well, you have to be able to get left. You have to be able to get left to do jobs by yourself, You can't constantly have someone out looking over you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to hold your hand basically, So definitely.
So just to finish off then, if any young person in school or leaving school was looking to go down the apprenticeship, in this case, being an electrician, would you recommend it?
100%.
Definitely would do.
No harm in trying it. Yeah. I think if it's not for you, you'll know yourself. Like, but 100% definitely the best thing I ever done on you.
Feeling enough, like.
Yeah.
It's definitely not for the faint-hearted, though. That's for sure. It's not for the faint-hearted. But listen, it's worth a try. Give it a try. There's no harm in trying in life. It doesn't work. It doesn't work out. There's always something else to do for somebody. but definitely I would recommend it. Yeah.
You could go plumbing then or something.
Actually, remember, funny enough, actually, a man Seamus, the electrical science teacher, was saying, "Ah, well, lads, if it doesn't work out for you, and if you fail, whatever, you can come paint it." Because funny enough, actually, there was 2 Polish lads in our class, and obviously he was having a laugh at them because obviously, if you work in the trade, you know predominantly on sites, the Eastern Europeans are more like painters or plasters, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a banter.
Yeah, a bit
Out
bad.
of hands at everything, them lads.
Yeah, no, fair play to them though. Jeez.
Final question then for you all. We have a Spotify playlist and we add a song to it. What song would you
I've been thinking about this all day.
Yeah? So we'll go with you then. You can't wait to get it out.
I'll say Favourite by Fontaine Stacey.
Brilliant.
Lovely.
Perfect.
That's a good one.
Me? I haven't a clue. I couldn't tell you. Yeah, not top of my head.
Any song? What are you listening to now?
That's a good one. Oh, jeez, I'm on the
It's a
spot.
rocky
This
one.
one.
Check your phone. Check your Spotify.
That's a good one.
Dan, you go then while Jordan's having a look.
Summer by Calvin Harris. That's,
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
That's a good one.
Summer, Calvin Harris.
Summer today, alright. This round.
Sweating in here.
Oh, stop.
Jordan, you're not a big music buff, eh?
No, see, I listen to more kind of, I don't know. See, I don't-
Podcasts and stuff, is it?
Yeah,
Insight.
insight and stuff, exactly.
Yeah.
I actually do. I actually listened to a few of them there 2 weeks ago, actually. Yeah, so.
Listen every week.
Could say that, yeah. I'll go with him as well. Summer by Calvin Harris, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Well done, boys.
Rocky Road to Dublin then.
That's right.
Okay. Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much. Right, overload segment in the bag. Good chat, good trade chat.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. I thought the 3 guys, well, 2 guys and a gal, gave really good insight into especially the electrical trade and things that you need to look out for, and suppose just like an insight for even for kids that are looking to see what they're going to do after school and stuff. They showed a really valuable insight, not just the academic and the practical side, but the bit of fun and the bit of camaraderie that happens on site. So
Yeah, and they're happening within the phases as well, and the off the job phases. A lot of great thought provoking conversations regarding, like what you mentioned, the academic side and the hands on side of it, but similar to what myself and yourself have gone through in the apprenticeship, everybody's experience is different. So to be able to hear it from an ESB technician, a person who's completed phase 4 that's working in predominantly commercial, and then another guy that you know very well working within the domestic end of it, it sort of covers every field,
Covers every base, yeah. And look, fair play to them for jumping on the challenge wall as well. They did themselves proud. Dan, well done for winning. Brilliant run at it. And I have to say the other Zoe and Jordan did a great job on their boards as well. Really neat, which says a lot about them. All they need to work on now is their speed and loose connections if they want to win the challenge wall.
Well, it is about that. It's just it's no mean feat to come in and actually put your name out there as somebody that has taken on the wall, especially first time this week that we've actually done it live on Instagram. So people were able to jump onto the Instagram page this week and actually watch them live completing it, which was, I think, an extra bit of pressure. Pressure that we didn't have, and pressure that every other contestant who's taken a shot at it hasn't had. So fair play to them, like you said, and well done to Dan. Big thank you to Velocity for providing us with the Rogue 600.
Yeah, they've been brilliant.
Been brilliant, and hopefully Dan will get some good use out of it.
I'm sure he will. He's happy as Larry gone out the door there. So, yeah, I think you get great use out of the bag, and you like what Zoe said on the podcast, you get back what you put into the apprenticeship. And look, the three of them are, what would you say, trailblazers or whatever you want to call them. They're at the height of their powers in the apprenticeship game, and look, that's what we're looking for. We're looking to get more people like them on the podcast, get on the wall, get your scores up, and kind of, I don't know, create a little bit of a community and a bit of a movement there. So,
yeah, 100%. And I guess we'll keep going with the episode. So we've got Abdul joining us in the studio now.
Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. So let's jump in.
Let's go for it.
This episode is coming to you in association with Snickers Workwear Ireland.
So jump on to snickersworkwear.ie, see what they have on offer, and find your local stockist.
Abdul, thanks for joining myself and Keith in the Inside Studio here in the Robus headquarters. Delighted to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. And I really like the studio. And thank you for your warm welcome.
Yeah, no, great to finally meet you. Stephen has had great things to say about you. I think the two of you guys, you kind of met up at an Indeed event last year, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last year at Indeed event. Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah.
It was an interesting one because it's something that I've never been to before. Maybe you've probably had the opportunity with the company that you're working with now that we'll get into a bit later. Little events like that, I just think are amazing for networking. And myself and Keith hadn't really had the opportunity to do a lot of that with the podcast. We were inviting people into the studio, listening to their stories and letting them get their point of views out and share their opinions on things. And it nearly really didn't give us the opportunity to maybe step outside the studio and give other people an opportunity to let people know who we were. So to be able to, from that event, like get Nicola Conlon in, we're going to have Adele McSorley coming in later this season from me being at that event, and now having yourself in the studio as well. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing network opportunity, but it's also been amazing to hear new people's stories. And I think to have that opportunity now, which is a completely different story than we've ever had on the podcast in the last 6 seasons. And I'm really, really interested. I know Keith's really interested to get stuck into this one and learn maybe a little bit more about you.
Yeah, exactly. And like what we always do, we always ask our guests to go back in time and, you know, bring us through your childhood and where you grew up.
Thank you very much. And once again, thank you for having me here. And I really like the studio and your work and what you told me before we start the podcast. So before I go to my childhood, I would just say my name is Abdul Bari Ahmadzai. So everyone in Ireland calls me Abdul. I also encourage them to call me Abdul. It's easier and simple before they struggle with my full name. So I came from Afghanistan in October 2022. It was windy, dark days. And I asked someone like, I haven't seen sun for the past 1 month. When is the sun? And the guy joked and said, there is only, the sun appears only between June and July, about 15 days. So that's the only summer we got. And I was so disappointed.
15 minutes.
Yeah, I was so disappointed. But when the real summer I saw in Ireland, and till that time I made a lot of friends, and I was calling everyone, where are you guys? And there was some was in Italy, in Spain. I said, what are you guys doing there? Ireland, I have never seen this beautiful country or this beautiful summer in my whole life. I have traveled to more than 20 countries, but the summer here is the best. So why are you guys going to Italy or Spain? But that was a good experience. So before coming to Ireland, I was working in Afghanistan with World Bank and UN on the government projects. I was the director of that project, and we were working with more than 11,000 communities and serving more than 12 million people directly. And the project was more than $450 million. And I had staff of 420 or more than that, and throughout the country. So suddenly the government collapsed, and I'm here and inside studio talking with you guys. And going back to childhood, when I was growing up, it was a village with no electricity, no roads, limited access to education, and just what village boys do, just local games, making cars out of mud and clays, and using torn tires to play with it, and So that was a kind of different life. When I see it back from this now, going back, like I wouldn't dream of like what we will end up with the world, how globalized the world is, the technology and everything. And I don't know, my childhood, I didn't know there was TV in the world or there was electricity in the world. And you could only listen to radio because every time you are in war or in conflict, people listen to news. So the only thing we would hear from our grandparents we would sit with them and we couldn't talk because they would seriously listen to the radio, what is going on. And from BBC and other news channel, but those big radios that with connecting with a big line, and so you can listen and very cautiously to find that station. So that's what I remember from my childhood, actually. And growing up with grandparents in the fields, they were used to work in the fields and crops and some livestock.
Yeah. We've had a lot of people come through the doors of the studio, and they've gone back in time, as Keith said, and they've spoke to us about their childhoods, and they've mentioned school, and they've mentioned different moments in their life that would have had impact on them, that might have even caused, maybe certain types of anxieties or certain types of mental health struggles later in life. And just to listen to you talking to us upstairs in the visitor room and now in the studio, just talking about the simplified life and the simplified childhood that you had, but also there was a darker side to it as well, and there's a lot of news stories that you would have been hearing that would have maybe, if it was myself and Keith or maybe my children, would put fear into them. Did you find that you had fear in your childhood or anxiety, or did you even notice the amount that was actually going on around you in Afghanistan?
When I was a kid, I didn't know fear. I didn't know anything about fear. It was the fear was when you grow up, the more you understand, the more problematic life gets. I wish we were children forever. But the fear was mainly, I would say, one time I remember, there was a flood, a big flood, which destroyed the half of the village, and my mom and my mom was stuck on the other side. So the house, we were living this side. So before the flood comes, a smell would appear. So we would imagine the flood from smelling, and everybody screamed that flood is coming. You should get rid of these places, because people were. My mom and grandmom was collecting woods to burn. And I still goosebump when I remember that time. And so they were stuck, and I was maybe around, 4 or 5 years or 6 years, not more than that. And I was screaming, and the flood appeared, and then they stuck the other side, and the flood was on for like nights. And then the other elders found another way to take them from another far away, like maybe hours of. So that's why the fear was mainly the flood, the natural disasters. The fear was, at that time, there was, for 5 years, there was drought. So we lost all the garden, livestock and everything. And sometimes, I still remember when my granddad was to take a shower or take ablution, they would take it in a tap or something, so they could save that water to give it to a cow.
Yeah.
So I think that was the fear was mainly these kind of issues, not because of a war or anything. We would not care that much what's going on, because you grew up with those things. But mainly what is going on inside the family with your mom. Day-to-day thing, yeah.
What was school life for yourself?
School was a dream. If somebody talks about school, when some kids were coming from cities or from other countries or from Pakistan, some migrants, those who went to Pakistan or Iran at that time, and we would meet their kids, and they would talk about studies or schools or universities, and we would be like, so school was a dream to achieve.
Yeah.
And we had school. It was like not school, but literally we were sitting on the floor, and we would collect dry grass to sit on the floor, and there would be a teacher, and we would have like one book and a few pencils, but we would break it to divide among all everyone among the kids. So then we would sharpen it and use pieces of pencil. But the biggest, as I said about UNICEF story before, that I was doing door-to-door job in Ireland with UNICEF.
Yeah,
I had that connection from childhood. So the biggest thing was when UNICEF would come to our village and bring those blue-colored notebooks.
Okay, yeah.
So I still remember I really loved those notebooks so much that I would sleep with it. I would take it to my bed. And those pencil and pen and the box of stationery. So that was like you achieved your dream. You don't want anything else in life. That was the kind of school, especially the primary school. Not primary school, it was just learning, like learning how to write, how to read, and how to not even speak, but just how to write and read. That was at the school time. But later on, my father had a pharmaceutical store he opened in city, and then we came. So I was coming from village to the city, sometimes 2 hours walk to catch the car, or sometimes miss the car and wait for another one. But I studied then secondary school in city, which was at that time was also Taliban time.
Yeah.
And for I think 4th grade, 5th grade, or 6th grade, that was Taliban time. I was wearing turban as well when I was kid. And because that was the uniform, which is still going on. They brought it back, that culture. And but yeah, fortunately everything changed after 2001, and then everything opened. We kind of exposed to the world. As I said beginning, we saw electricity, we saw TV, we saw music and movies, Bollywood and Hollywood.
Before 2001 and then leading up to 2001, and you mentioned, this world opening up for you. Was there any idea of progression, professional progression, that you would have linked school life to your future work life until 2001? Or was it after that where you realized there's an avenue for me now to be able to maybe pursue something that I want to do in life?
Actually, my dad really played a great role in my life. And he would always talk about education. He would always insist on the importance of education. And because he was an educated person, and he would always bring stories or books or pictures. And he would write with me and write letters, for example, write letters to Keith, write letters to the studio or something. And then I just write. It was just to write dictation or
practice.
Practice. And sometimes when you are stuck in those kind of situations, you don't have big dreams, because you don't know what is going on. You are stuck. You don't know how the outside world looks like. So I don't remember. The only thing that I remember that my father would say, you would become a doctor, because he was he was a nurse and a pharmacist. And so it was always, in those countries, you are either becoming engineer or doctor, nothing else. So those were the kind of things that we would talk about, a doctor. Even in the village, I was called a doctor when I was kid as well, because I know a lot of the medicines from my dad.
Yeah.
I would tell people what to eat, what not to eat, and how to take paracetamol 2 times or 3 times, or before food, after food, or empty stomach. But yeah, that was the kind of thing but unfortunately it didn't work. Life took me to another route.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters.
Nice balance.
Yeah. I am the eldest one, unfortunately.
For you.
Eldest one is in those kind of culture you're growing up, the eldest one is the most responsible one. And you have to serve as a role model for the rest. So they can also take a proper road to education. Education was the main thing at that time. Because, you always dream of what you don't have.
Yeah.
And sometimes I go to schools here as well in Ireland. I giving some presentations and about migration or about integration or how a person like me, my life. And I tell them, come on, don't take your life for granted. You have a lot of privileges. Use it properly. Don't waste it.
Yeah.
And if I show you my school, it was our blackboard was torn. It was all more than 50 or 60 bullets were there on the blackboard, and we couldn't have this chair or screens or anything. So you have everything. And if you wasted, you really wasted. Yeah. And I tell them okay, if travel the world, you will understand a lot, and because you can have bigger impact in other countries. In underdeveloped countries, we would look after these kind of people, like people coming from foreign, from Western. They would talk English, and we would be really impressed by them. That was like our dream. Like, okay, these guys are really lucky, and they speak English. They do a lot of great work, like the NGO work that we would see, and installing wells and roads or access or education. So I share back that story with kids here, and I tell them like, okay,
it's good for, I suppose, a reality check for, you know, the privileges that we do have here. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, there is a lot of people that complain about what we get here in Ireland, in, you know, Western Europe. But just that's what we said, like, we get you in, need you to share the story and where you've come from. Like, it's completely, it's like chalk. It's a saying here, chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
So it's complete chalk and cheese, considering what we'd have grown up like as well, wouldn't it?
It puts things into perspective.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously, you mentioned a bit of work that you've done since, like, you've come here. You mentioned it a little bit, like, obviously UNICEF, but can you remember any type of job roles that you've had when you were in Afghanistan before you came to Ireland that, you know, you thought of very highly and that you nearly would miss nowadays that you're here in Ireland, building up your confidence, working in a role within Afghanistan, and then having to nearly start again coming to Ireland? We'd like to maybe know who you were in Afghanistan before you came here.
Yeah, you know, I would, when I was back in the country, especially from 2016 till the government collapsed, I was working with the World Bank. The project was called Citizens Charter Afghanistan Project, which was a 10 years flagship program of the government and the international community, funded by more than 35 countries. So it was through called ARTF, Afghanistan Reconstruction Trust Fund. So the fund was coming from different donors through Ministry of Finance and the World Bank. So the World Bank was the main management of the of this fund. So we were working with communities. So the project was called Community Driven Development Project. So this is like a CDD, a new concept, that you mobilize communities, that the communities can work for themselves. And so when we were working on the concept of that project, I was involved from the beginning, and then they selected me as a director of that project, director of operation of that project, because they said, like, you know everything, every detail. So we don't know, we don't want to hire any other person on top. So you just be there and then start. So for 5 years or more, I was director of that project, and we were working with the urban and rural communities, because the urban structure is different than the rural communities in terms of how you institutionalized and make a community development council, because we would bring 200 to 250 families to form a CDC, a community development council. And there was a issue of women as well. Like in that project, we put it mandatory that it should be 50-50, 50% women, 50% men. But in some provinces, we would really challenge. People would not allow their women. They would allow their, for example, we would be opening a joint bank account for them, for a community. So a chairperson, a vice chairperson, and a secretary, and there was another person. So 4 people. So he said 2 have to be women.
Yeah.
And then they would come up with, like, women don't want to share their photos or IDs. So that was a really big struggle to go through and make sure that we get 50% women and they have meaningful, share in the community, and they have meaningful voice, and that is especially in the decision making. Yeah. Because after that, we had 2 parts in that project: the social aspect and the infrastructure one. Yeah. So for us, the social cohesion was very important, to bring communities together and to hear their voice and to connect them back with the government. Because at that time, those who were against the government, they were also mobilizing people against the government. So the government was trying to deliver service to everyone. Yeah. So, because that helps in security and stability as well. So that was like 5 years. We made more than 12,000 communities. The main thing that we provided was clean drinking water, that was the needs, the basic needs. We would call it the basic needs of the communities: clean drinking water, basic electricity, basic education, women livelihood projects, and basic healthcare, and some other recreational or park projects for families and kids. That was a really successful project of the World Bank and the government, and I really loved it.
Yeah,
because
it's important.
Because you could see the real impact of your work on the ground.
Yeah.
You would go and meet people, and they would really hug you, give you gifts and kisses, and like lots of hugs, because a road would be asphalted there. People would get access to clean drinking water or electricity, or the village would lighten up. So that was a great thing to do. And the other part was that I was traveling as well. I got the opportunity to travel the world, travel to different countries, to Malaysia, Jordan, UAE, Thailand, India, and more other countries to on international conferences on urbanization, World Urban Forums, and stuff like that.
Those countries would have been doing the same thing in their countries, so you were learning from each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's like sharing best practices and bringing best practices, and how. So every project has a lot of aspects. So it's like sharing our experiences as well with them, our success stories with them. Yeah.
So moving on from there, obviously, like what an important job you had there, and then moving on, what changed in the country to make you feel like you had to, leave, as a sense?
I still remember. I would never thought of becoming an asylum seeker or refugee, because if I wanted, I could go at that time. Every embassy, I was because we were working with a lot of donors, so they were represented by their embassies. So I would go to Australian embassy, British embassy, Finland embassy, UN palace, they call UN palace, the UN countries, and I would go give presentations. So everybody knew me. And I didn't want to go anywhere to become a migrant, because I had a really good job. I had a driver, I had a cook, I had a bodyguard. I had later on, when security really deteriorated, I got a bulletproof car. And so my life was like a really VIP life. And that time, I wouldn't think of anything else. But I still remember when the government started collapsing some provinces. I was sitting with Minister of Interior Affairs. And at that time, that guy was a new person, and he wanted to hire me as Director of Finance and Budget for Minister of Interior Affairs, General Director.
Yeah.
And he, without consulting me, he hired me, and he signed the president's signature on it. And because the president knew me personally, because I will tell you maybe the story later on, that Taliban killed my dad, and then I got to know the president himself. And then he hired me as that. I said, I'm not working in security sector. And but anyway, we had this argument. He said, you have to work. And he provided me with a really big car, bulletproof, like 100% from top, sides, everything. And I said, it really makes my life in danger, right? But I still remember the day of the collapse, I was sitting with the Minister of Interior Affairs, and my driver is calling me. And he said he would call me director, sir, right? Like in our language, Rais Sahib. And everyone in Ireland also called me Rais Sahib. So Rais Sahib means also like in positive terms, like boss. And he said, come out, Taliban enter Kabul. And I said, I'm sitting with Minister of Interior Affairs. I took one of my friends as well. He was sitting in secretary office. And so the minister was eating dry fruits, nuts and smoking. But I look at him, he was really anxious as well. And I asked him, like, what is going on? And he said, no, Taliban will not enter Kabul. We have agreement till 6 months they can take all the country, but cannot enter Kabul unless we reach an agreement. And then my mom called. And then my mom was so terrified because we lost our dad 1 year ago as well. And then I didn't listen to minister. I just left. Before entering the Minister of Interior Affairs, there were 6 checkposts, security checkposts. To reach the minister office.
The road,
When we were leaving, there was none. So everything. When we went back, So Taliban was on the road. So we left our car. So we had to walk like a normal people.
Yeah.
And everyone was. So I went actually to a real shock, especially when we heard that the president escaped the country. That was like the really terrible news. I still remember, I went like, you go to like a shock. You don't understand anything. You are like in a coma or something. So I just had deal with my mom that I will reach home, whatever happens. So I reach home and everybody was running towards the airport. You must remember the airports in that people were hanging or plunging to the plane and then they fell off. And at nighttime, one of my friends called me like, come out, we are going to the airport. And I was really shocked. I really used some curse words and said like, I don't want to go. I don't know what's going on, right? So on the third day, I was at that airport as well. But then there was a blast happen and then we had to run back. So it didn't work out. So it took a long time because at that time, everybody was helping me, trying to help me with how to take me out because I know a lot of friends from different countries. But it didn't work because there was nothing there. Everything was closed except American military planes. And you have to make it there. And there was almost impossible. Either you die or you get to the plane or anything. I said, I can't do that. I will wait. So then I also changed 3 houses because of security reason that people should not know where. Because you are in shock. And after quite some few months, I made it out and reached Ireland. I didn't know. My target was not Ireland. My target was actually France. I have a lot of friends in France. But then I learned that Ireland is accepting refugees and their language is English. And I said, okay, if the language is English and they accept refugees, no other condition. I don't want to learn French. I already speak 4 or 5 languages, no more languages. So I just want to go somewhere that I can find myself easily. So I ended up in Ireland and it was October, cold, as I said. Windy and didn't know anyone, any single human being. But the good thing was that I have, back in the country, I work with a lot of foreigners. And so I know at the end of the day, we are all human. We could reach to every person. So that was the advantage, the language. And I had this mentality that you can reach to any human being for help. So I would reach to anyone like, hello, sir, I am Abdul. I'm from Afghanistan. I need help. We are in this situation. So until I made it to the Dal, I went to the Dal as well. A few months back, maybe, after I arrived. Because we faced a lot of issues. Somebody had to speak.
We have Ireland is kind of a unique country in itself that we have had to migrate to other countries in search of help as well. So I think the Irish people are very welcoming.
It's ingrained, I think, in our history and in generations of Irish who had to leave Ireland and were plotted all over the world, in Australia, America, even Dubai now. There's people working everywhere for reasons of want to leave and for other reasons of not wanting to leave. So it's been a constant rotation of generational Irish having to spread themselves out there and make friends with other nationalities. So I think the majority of Irish people, when we see the likes of what's going on in, Palestine now and what's happened in Afghanistan, when people come to your doorstep and look for help, we try to do our best. I don't think it is the best that people can do, but we try to do our best. And with that, I think a lot of Irish people would sort of turn a blind eye to the news, I think, when it comes to a lot of these atrocities that are going on when it's on their own doorstep. They just think the government's helping them and we'll leave it there. I don't really want to know what's going on, but talking to yourself upstairs and getting a bit of an idea of the person that you were in Afghanistan to the person that you were when you arrived in Ireland.
And the process that you have to go through when you get into Ireland.
I got a lot of grey hair under pressure and depression.
That's where we were at as well. So okay.
Yeah, when I sent picture to my mom, and she's like, "Why you're getting gray hair a lot?" And I was like, "Are you thinking a lot? Are you depressed? Are you sad or what?" And I said, "No, no, no. There is something wrong with European water. When I was, it's with the shower, with the
dry,
water
yeah.
and shampoo, not
Was she
not with the
happy? Was she
depression."
happy you made it here?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Because my mom said that you have to be alive for the rest of us. So you have to get out. And that is, she said, we can manage, but you have to get out. Otherwise, I was like, my mom is really, how you can say, like in positive, like a really poor lady, like really gone through a lot of struggles because I'm the eldest son and I know what we are all going through, right? And I know my mom as a young person and we grew up together, right?
Yeah.
So she said, no, you have to get out. You have to be alive. Because when I was working with the government and on the World Bank project, I was in all the news. So you can search my name on YouTube and everywhere. I was in all the mass media and TVs. So I was a kind of popular. And my father used to say that don't become popular. It's risky. And he would like it. He would love it as well, but he would at the same time say, be careful, and especially be careful with your words, what you say. It can really endanger your life, and people will target you. And our offices were targeted all the time. I still remember when the terrorists would attack our offices, government buildings, and they would enter with suicide vest and blast themselves. So we installed all the bulletproof doors and the ropes under our table. For 3 years, I had ropes under my table tied. If they enter, because my office was on the 3rd floor, so I can jump out of the window with the rope. So my rope was there for 3 years.
Wow.
So that's a different life. And sometimes you get used to it, right?
There's no ropes here.
No, geez, that's ground floor.
No,
through the window.
I think. So I'm really happy. If I tell you one thing seriously, I tell my other Irish friends as well that I'm really happy in being lucky being in Ireland, because Irish are like the best people I have met. Apart from some minority that they threw eggs on me on the street 2 times. They hit me with eggs. Some
they do that
teenagers.
to Keith as well.
But I have never seen like this kind of the best people. I got the opportunity later on when I arrived to Ireland. Later on, I had the opportunity to 2 other countries. I would not name it. They invited me because at the time everybody was helping me, and they applied for me for visas and everything.
Yeah.
And when I arrived, and thanks God, I was in Ireland, and I kind of like it, and I made friends. And then I said, no, I'm in Ireland, and I like it here. I'm not leaving this country. So that was a good decision, and I would not regret it. And especially, I have made a lot of Irish friends. Like the best thing, like when they come to your home, they are not coming empty-handed. They bring something. They take care of you. They bring food. They bring clothes, and So if you tell me that to talk about Ireland, I can talk for months and months, and I can write a book about it.
It's a really good compliment for the country. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it seems to be across the board as well, as in. Most people you talk to will say the country is welcoming. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment where, the minority,
and it is minority. Yeah,
that's what I mean. It is. It really is minority, because I, for one, don't know anybody that would be against the migrants or anything like that. So it's just silly stuff.
I think I would. I wish I could meet all of them. Sometimes. Like, I would never want to be migrant, as I said at the beginning. I didn't know these words. When I was learning English, we learned pizza and sandwiches and burgers and John and Sarah. We didn't learn as asylum seeking or being displaced or being stateless person. And I would never thought of becoming a refugee and ending up in a camp. But it happened, right? So some people, those who are against migrants, I would say, like, blame the cause. We are the effect. Right? We are the effect. We are the effect of those policies, those international or the countries, what they do. So we didn't choose these titles for ourselves, being migrant or coming to a country. So it happened to us, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you describe? We had a quick chat upstairs before we came down. Can you describe what it was like when you first arrived and how, I suppose, displaced you were when obviously going from the job you had and coming to Ireland, and obviously your confidence just being basically taken from you?
Yeah, actually, when I first arrived, we were in City West camp. So it was around 800 people under one roof, but I really like it because it was a lot of people and humans. I like humans, and when I'm around humans, I can find myself. And so for 1 month we were there. It was a good place, good food and everything, but the sleeping there was no sleeping actually. So you should find your own place wherever you can sleep, either on chair or on the floor or anything, because there was too much crowd. But after that we came to Richmond Street. It was near Croke Park.
Yeah.
And that was not really prepared, but they transferred us there. It was November and cold showers, and we didn't know anything. So we have different experience. So sometimes in terms of confidence, you say, no matter how confident you are, sometimes this kind of life takes away the confidence because you are no one. You don't have any identity. You are not even being recognized as a refugee.
You mentioned being a number nearly.
Yeah, exactly. So you are not being recognized. Nobody knows you, and you are just like a number. And how many people are here? And a lot of people had issue, even at the City West and here as well, with food, because there is a different food, and the issue was halal and it's not. And then I helped them, and I went to management, and then so we solved this problem: the food, the beds, showers, and everything. But by the passage of time, and at that time, sometimes you cannot even speak. You don't know whether what you speak or somebody will hit you or not, because you are coming from different experience, right?
Yeah.
And those security guys are trained. I don't know how they are trained, whether they treat you well or they will just slap you. So you don't have any idea.
Yeah.
So you are very careful. You are very much respectful as much as possible. But sometimes if you are in the worst situation, you can't behave properly,
Yeah, exactly.
You can behave when you're happy. Yeah. When you're frustrated, you cannot behave like a really good person or saying thank you and please all the time.
Yeah.
But you are in problem. So I think you just need good people to understand you and to realize your situation. And I think that was important for me, because everybody was scared, and so scared they couldn't speak. And I said, okay, I till that time I met few Irish people and friends, and they said, okay, speak. You have to speak. You have to get out and
use your voice.
Be your own voice. Be the voice of these people. And
did you find yourself internalizing yourself and maybe going in and trying to find those skills, like the logistics skills and the management skills and networking and everything else that you would have built up within yourself in Afghanistan and everywhere else that you traveled in the world? Did you find yourself locating that within yourself again and actually utilizing it to try and help the people around you within these camps?
Exactly. So fortunately, I was fortunate that I know the language and the experience of meeting people and talking to people and approaching people. And so that really, really helped me, especially when I think like working with different people from different walks of life, from different nationalities back in the country and other countries as well. Like I studied in India, my bachelor degree. Even there, I met a lot of people from different countries because I was interested to meet new people and network with them and try to understand each other. Especially at that time, I was trying also to learn English from the English people, the English themselves, those who speak English. So that really helped me. That really helped me to build my network and to speak for those who couldn't speak properly and those who had a lot of issues, because there was a lot of people from different nationalities and they have different fear, different issues. And so at that time, my target became so clear that I have to speak. And thanks to some of my Irish friends, they give me that confidence.
Yeah.
But there have been children in there as well.
No, we were all in the first camp there was children and families as well, but in the second it was all main.
Right.
They would
Yeah.
call it single main.
Yeah. So the families have been looked after first.
Yeah.
The first
Yeah,
camp.
yeah.
So then you find then that, because they're looking after the families, but just because there's kids, then they're looked after first, which is obviously correct,
Yeah,
sort
exactly.
out the children. You
Yeah.
find a lot of men then being pushed into these camps, not through their own choice, but because they were
Next in line,
in line.
Yeah, exactly.
And that nearly just shows a lot of men in one area, which then puts up nearly a bad image to the minorities that we spoke about before, that makes it easy then to target you and actually throw abuse at a group of men,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm actually thankful being in the camp, or being in the hard life at the beginning. I am really, really thankful. Maybe it was the decision of God that put me in, in tough situations sometimes. Because in tough situation, you make friends. You make real friends. In tough situation, you find your way. If I was in a 5-star hotel, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a lot of friends. I would be still struggling. I would become a lazy person. So it's good sometimes that tough situation is good, because you find yourself easily. That makes your life a little bit faster to reach somewhere.
I still think there needs to be a middle ground. You don't want to be there, you don't want to be here, but there needs to be here.
Yeah, it was a middle ground. I wouldn't complain about that, but it is just the lack of understanding.
Yeah.
And because you don't know anything, you are just ending up in a new country with like a newborn baby, suppose, because you don't know anything. So without support.
But
And
you had
then you have to
strength,
fight.
you have the mentality and you have the strength for it, but there must have been other men within that camp who really struggled. I think.
Absolutely. I would take them to Mater Hospital, 2-3 person every week. They would get sick. They would get a lot of sick. Thanks God how fast ambulance here is, right? And they would reach in 4 or 5 hours, right? But then we would take them to in taxi or anything. But a lot of people were really stressed. So, every person has different mentality. And there was like really, really young people as well. Like, like they wouldn't, they wouldn't accommodate easily with everything. So we helped them, me and my friends, because we made a kind of group of people, like they could understand English and they were helpful. Sometimes you have a circle of people, but some people are not helpful.
Yeah.
And some people are willing to help. Some people have that internal thing to give it away, to help others.
They're sponges.
And someone
we call them sponges.
Yeah, someone like just, okay, leave me alone.
They like the comfort of the circle.
Exactly,
They don't add to it.
So we found that network of people who are like willing to work and willing to go and translate and help others. So that helped us later on. So we slowly we capitalized on that. And later on, we helped them with education, with English classes, free English classes, and a lot of the communities groups around. Like I really love one of my favorite thing in Ireland is those community halls, community organizations, community people, and they really help. They provide their support. They made free English classes in those communities. So that really kind of built our network and confidence and. A way out,
it's nearly
open the door.
It's nearly a miniature version of what you were doing professionally before you had to come to Ireland. It's kind of your thing, isn't it?
It was my thing. Yeah, working with communities, working with people. It was my thing, and that's why I like it, and I really, really loved it.
You mentioned there opening the door, and you've had the opportunity now, like, to work with the Open Doors Initiative, and you would have come into the country and experienced a lot of, say, ground zero of migrants coming in and seeing the challenges that you faced and everyone else is facing. What is Open Doors doing to make things a little bit easier for the likes of yourself or somebody in your position coming into Ireland?
Open Doors Initiative, it's a non-profit organization. They help everyone who faces barriers to employment, to education, or to those who are starting their own businesses. So it includes refugees, migrants, asylum seekers, people with disability, people from traveler and Roma community, people with criminal pasts, and intersectionality, and everyone who is facing barriers. That is like the main goal of the Open Doors Initiative. And I joined them last year, almost 1 year and few months. And as I said, people like me really struggle at the beginning because the recruitment process, the corporate world is very different here. And especially after COVID, everything is so changed. At the beginning, when I came to Ireland, I was knocking the doors. I would go to receptions and give my CV, and then they would say, go to our website and apply for it. And so anyway, that is a long story, but as I said, I had 14 pages CV, and it took me 6 months to make it 2 pages. 6 months, because I didn't know. I was applying with that 14 pages CV. Nobody was considering it. But I found a mentor. So Open Doors, one of the programs that is very successful of Open Doors Initiative is the mentorship program. We work with 130 organizations and companies. They gave us their mentors. Like, for example, we work with Inside, and you guys sign up as mentors, and you want to help someone, those who are looking for in similar jobs or those who with your expertise. So we pair them up, and they help. Whether you are starting your own business, whether you are looking for a job, whether you have a problem with your interview, a problem with your CV. And at the same time, we because it is a two-way process, right? So we also work with companies and organizations to be inclusive. Like, for example, I will give you an example that I use it everywhere, that how to make an inclusive job description and inclusive policies. For example, there are job descriptions that would not encourage people like me to apply for it, or people who are coming new to Ireland. For example, last year in more than 1.5 years when I was trying to find a job, I would fit for a job. Like, I would look at the job description, and 99% I would be like, okay, I like this job and I want to apply for it. But then they would write full driving license is required, and then I wouldn't apply for it, right? And so now we work with companies, like, for example, on inclusive hiring practices. For example, don't write full driving license is required. Write access to transportation.
Yeah.
Right. So that completely opens a new pool of talent for your applicants, a new pool of applicants. So just one word can change
And
direction.
that's for both. That's for the person that's looking to get employed and the employee.
The employees as well, the employers as well. Yeah.
You could be missing out on, your next best employee just from that one mistake.
So there are small things that kind of we are working with organization and companies to hire these people. And for example, people with criminal past, there will be a small conviction of person, and then but a person wouldn't be then struggling to find job, and then they would be like separate from the society. We look at all the issues from the concept of corporate social responsibility. So every company has those social responsibility to give it back to the community. But now we moved from that concept as we are moving to corporate social justice, that we required companies and organizations to really tackle those socioeconomic issues and really give it back to the communities and help the communities, and whether they are reflective of the communities they serve or not. So that is how we work with these. We provide trainings as well, especially people with disability. They are also struggling a lot.
Yeah.
With the job description, with the tables, with the job, with the office space and station, and with the buildings and
access.
Yeah, everything. So we provide trainings, reasonable accommodation. We call it reasonable accommodation passport, how to have an inclusive events, and cultural understanding, cultural competence, disability awareness. So that's all we do at the Open Doors Initiative.
That's all.
That's all.
That's a lot.
It's only a small thing.
Fair play to you. Like, it's a real.
But it's important work.
It's a massive task, and it's a wide task, and a lot of people obviously have to be involved to help that machine run. Is there a team of you? Is there a full group of you constantly on the go? What does like a working day look like in Open Doors?
So everybody has a different job, right? My job is mainly the stakeholder engagement management and business development. So my job is mainly giving presentation, meeting new people, new companies, and that's why you found me every event I am in, because I try to engage companies more in this space, bring more companies into this space, and because it's the problem is that, for example, we would say back in the country as well, and every country is true, that when you have a social or socio-economic issues in a country, the government cannot do everything alone. The big corporates, the companies, the organization, everyone should join that force, and they can have bigger impact, right? For example, people with disability are struggling with job. You know that the around 63 or 65% people with disability are unemployed in Ireland. And you know that the European Federation Commission, there was a research that says Ireland is the worst country for people with disability in terms of employment. So it's the joint responsibility of everyone to kind of work and make sure that we have accessible policies, accessible buildings, accessible strategies, that everyone is reachable, everyone is approachable, and everyone can find themselves. So that's how we look at it from corporate social justice perspective.
Yeah. Just like it's a lot to take in, the work that has to go on, like, you know, and like me and Stephen day to day, we'll be honest and say we wouldn't be thinking along those lines. It's only when we get to meet people like yourself and Edel and the girls we have from Sulis and stuff like that it opens our eyes to things like that. But I suppose in terms of what you've been through and where you are now, it's going to be a weird question, but what's your proudest moment?
I hope proudest is not a negative word.
Yeah.
You know, some proudest moments was because I was very much in love with my dad, and he always wanted me to get educated, and so I got when I went to India and I completed my bachelor degree, he was really happy. He came to the airport to pick me. So that was one proudest moment I remember. The second one was when I completed my master degree. And then, because I was becoming the person that he wished.
Yeah.
And then I got a really good job. And then he would see me on TV. He would see me with the ministers, with the president. And that was a really proudest moment for me.
Technically, it probably would have been his proudest moment.
Yeah. So it's like, because I was... I had really emotional connection with my dad.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me happy to make my father happy. You know, they say like the best thing that you can do for your parents is that you are the burden for them. So you have to be a successful person to take the burden.
That's what they work for.
Yeah, for parents, nothing is more burden to having kids and making sure that these kids are choosing the right path in their life, right?
Safe, yeah.
So you have to take that burden from them and make sure they are not worried much about that. And the second thing was when we were going to communities, and because sometimes you work on this table in computer, making policies, meetings, and raising fund. But when you go to the field and getting off these luxury offices and air conditioners and car and go to the real field in villages, and you see the impact that people got clean drinking water, they got access to road, they got education there now. So that was like, you know, really, really a moment that kept me going and fight for them and be their voice. And I could do anything for them because of that moment, that happiness that I would achieve from that, the completion of projects at the ground level. So that's it. And the only thing that makes me proud, and not proud, but makes me happy and makes me going, is when I am a benefit to someone.
Yeah.
Just in a nutshell.
Was there ever a moment, you know, after you left Afghanistan where you thought you might not be able to do that kind of job again? Because you're kind of in a similar role now, but the in-between.
I think it's very much different now. And in Afghanistan, people, like today, the World Bank announced that 4 and 5 people are jobless in the country. 4 and 5 people. And young people. So in those countries, you can have bigger impact. And but here, everything is so good. I am so happy. And but the thing is that even an issue is small or big, but you have to take it seriously, right?
Yeah.
And so I still like my job here. I did a job with UNICEF Door to Door. I did a job with the World Vision Ireland. They had projects in Congo and Philippines and other countries that I was in touch with them. And so this is a kind of a new world.
Yeah.
But still, there are people like me. There are people out there. There are different people who faces barriers to education, employment, and those who are kind of like starting their own life, starting their own business, trying to get something, because it's expensive here as well.
It's expensive.
Yeah, it is expensive. So you have to work harder and harder and make sure that you must know that we really work hard.
Yeah.
Just to make sure because in our country or in some countries that I worked in, there was no tax. Even if there was a tax, that was really small.
Yeah.
And here it's like huge. My friends would come to me in the camp and they would show me their pay slip and they would be like,
"What?
Abdul, can you check this? What is this?" And I said, "This is tax. How much tax? For how long? And what?" So you should have seen their faces the first pay slip or the second pay slip they received, and they were like, "Oh, it's huge." And I said, "Yeah, but it's how the country runs. End of the day." Yeah.
How important has maintaining your faith through all those struggles been for you? There must have been a point where at your lowest point where you have to maybe look to something else or look to somebody or look to God, or has it been important for you to get you through every moment in your life to where you are now?
If there was no faith and hope, I would have died already. Because I will give you a few examples. First, when my dad was kidnapped in 2008, I was in school. And his picture would appear on TV, and Taliban would say, "We would kill them in 3 days if you don't release our prisoners." And I was maybe 19 years old or something. And the eldest one, and in Afghanistan, it's very rare that my father didn't have any brother. So he had just 4 sisters. And so then it took, sometimes it's... there is no human being on the entire earth could help you to get you that sadness from you or the frustration from you. It's only faith and hope. It's sometimes we need that universal power and God, whatever you call it, but we call it God.
Yeah.
You need God, and in those situations, I would still think of it like, for example, nobody at this moment, I would reach a moment that nobody in this moment can help me. Nobody. Any human being would become so useless because they couldn't do anything.
No.
Right? The closest one of you, the best friends of you, the best relatives that you have, everybody becomes so useless. And so at that point, you become a kind of like, okay, now you have to have strong faith. The only sometimes we take faith for granted as well. Like I tell myself, because faith had really helped me. But sometimes when you are happy in everything, we don't consider it. But when you are in this hard situation, faith and hope can only help you at that time. So it took 3 months and 10 days to release my dad in exchange of prisoners. And seeing the entire family going through that trauma for 3 months and 10 days. And I left school at that time as well. Like I left everything just to release my dad. I would meet ministers. I would go to everyone. That was actually also the time that when you talk about confidence, that I was really a kind of introvert person. But sometimes you don't have any choice. You have to go. You have to speak to people. You have to, whether you're crying or you're laughing, you have to go. So that completely changed my life. So especially when my dad was released after 3 months or more, and in exchange of some prisoners, and that completely.
She became head of the house at at that time,
Yeah,
whether he
exactly.
was
Yeah,
captured.
sometimes you at that young age you become like a kind of the final decision maker. You know, you can the final call up, say yes and no to things. What should we do? What should we not do? And the tribal leaders, a very important person, would come to you like because it's your father's life is at stake, right?
Yeah.
So they wouldn't take decision by themselves, right? So they would ask me. I was 19 years old. And then you have to say yes or no and how things work. And then you put your full trust and your full faith in God. Like, okay, this is what I think it's good at this moment, or it's bad or not. And yeah, those are the things that keeps you going. And second, my mom was, we were in a wedding. We have a bad culture of firing, celebrating, in the village with AK-47. And a teenager got AK-47 and was firing, and among 50 or 60 women, only my mother got shot 3 bullets. And so she's still alive, fortunately, but she was full of blood, and everybody lost their senses, like what to do. And that was the hardest time. And the other hardest time was, which keeps you going, as you said, is faith. That I had a lot of dreams, and I said I really, really loved my dad, and I had really emotional connection with my mom and dad both, but with dad more because I was growing up with dad, because my dad was working and I was with him every time. So I spent less time with my mother, but more time with my dad. So I have seen a lot what happened to dad at that time, with struggle, being injured, being shot, being kidnapped, and but in 2020. During COVID, it was June, and he was kidnapped again because my aunt died, and he was going with her on funeral to the village, and then the Taliban kidnapped him from the village, from the funeral, and then at nighttime, this time they killed him.
Is that selective, or did they just take who they want?
My father was a senator from 2006 to 2010.
So selective.
So yeah, he was an elected senator from Logar province. But he was, when they kidnapped him, he was a senator. When they killed him, he was nobody at that time. He was just a normal person walking everywhere, and he was a really, really good guy. He was not some sort of like a crop leader or anything. We still live in a rental home back in the country. But anyway, they say good people die soon, unfortunately. And so at that time, when I lost my dad, it seems like you lost everything. You lost your dream. You lost your life. You lost your, sometimes I still remember I sat there and I was like, I lost everything. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live anymore. My life is finished. But then you have to get up again because your mother, your sisters, your brothers, everybody is looking up to you.
Yeah.
I am a very unfortunate person. I tell my friends that sometimes I wouldn't even cry because I wanted to show myself stronger so that they can get the strength. And I still tell my friends that I still want to really, really cry and scream, but I never had that opportunity. I never had that opportunity in my life because of my brothers, because of the family, because everybody was looking up to me. And they thought I'm a really strong person. And I have to be strong. And so I think it's mainly the responsibilities that keeps you going and taking care of people, which helps you as well. If you don't take care of people and you are in frustration, you would lose it. But if you are responsible and you take care of people, you can go through any misery in life. So I think that makes life really meaningful and keeps you going. So if you're not taking care of any people, or you're not responsible for any great or issue or family or brothers.
But it's like the airplane, I've said this before, when you lose altitude and the oxygen mask comes down, you have to look after yourself first, So taking care of yourself and putting that oxygen mask on to yourself allows you to take care of other people. So don't forget to look after yourself, especially in those type of moments. And, thanks for sharing that, really emotional time and emotional moment with us, because it couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes, this airplane is really interesting analogy. But Yeah, that is what keeps me going. That's what faith works and hopes works. Sometimes you are absolutely, as I said, if there was no faith, I wouldn't live. I would have already ended up my life, actually. But it's the faith, and faith really do wonders and miracles.
Thanks for sharing that.
It's been a brilliant conversation, a brilliant chat, and it is emotional to get deep into people's lives and hear different stories about stuff that we might never have had an experience with,
or never will have
or
to.
never will, hopefully, you know.
I hope not. Yeah, it's not a good experience.
We'll try to finish out on something positive.
What's the future hold?
Future. First thing, since I'm in Ireland and I really like it here, I love it here. I am so happy here. And Ireland is lucky for me so far. I can again travel the world. I can go to places. I have restarted my life. I want to bring my family. I have 3 kids, and really beautiful kids. They are all boys, and but everything is on the long finger in Ireland. I hope I can make it one day. And the second thing is that I have decided to bring my family, and the second thing is that I really want to contribute to a better Ireland, an Ireland that people like me can be safe and happy and can get to the opportunity to contribute to their communities and people. And when I call my kids on video calls, I show them the Lewis buses and the yellow and green, my favorite, the beaches and everything. So it's raining as well. Whenever they call, it's raining. And they're like, why it's raining? I said, it's raining all the time.
All the time.
And so I used to say just a story about the rain back in the country, because I grew up in a drought, and sometimes in the country that is landlocked, there is no lot of rain. And sometimes I would say, the only thing that I love more than myself is rain. And now I ended up here. So you have to be careful what you wish for. But I still love it. I still love it because I know it is. It's a privilege. I should not take the rain for granted. I have a lot of stories. I was sitting in the taxi, and the driver was listening to the radio, and he was Irish, and he was talking like this. Irish radios are always talking about weather and what is the weather. And I said, you're so lucky. It is so cute. I find it so cute and beautiful that the news is all about weather. Yeah. In our country, it's all about death and wars and suicide and bombs. You should be happy. Why you're so annoyed with the radio?
It's a great way to put it.
Be happy with the weather.
Yeah.
And he was really shocked. That's why I remember the story. He was like, oh man, thanks God you told me that. So I think sometimes we take a lot of things for granted. But yeah, future is to bring my family here in Ireland, and I really want to contribute to a better Ireland, whatever at my capacity is, especially with the attitudes, with the mentality towards migration. And so, for example, we are all end of the day same human. We can talk, we can become friends, we can become families. I can become your neighbor. I can become part of your community, and I can become part of your life. Mm-hmm. So why not talking to me? If those were like, let's sit together. It's not like what you saw on the news, what you saw on screen, and the reality is off screen.
Yeah,
and,
so hopefully the likes of these chats and the likes of this podcast will open people's minds up to that.
Yeah, and my dream is to become a public speaker, actually. Yeah. So that is the future.
Well, you're doing that right now.
And because Irish are really good with storytelling, and they are good with so many things, and those are, whatever they are good at, those are my favorite things. So I want to become one of them and really kind of integrate an Irish into myself, and an Afghan, a best version of Irish and a best version of Afghan, and be a person that can really contribute.
Nice blend.
Yeah. What's the hardest question we ask?
We've got 2 questions now.
Yeah.
But the first one being, we have a Spotify playlist. Okay. So we'd like to ask you to add a song to the playlist. What would it be?
I think it would be the recent song by Ed Sheeran, Azizam. That is a Persian word, because Azizam is really beautiful word. And it leads. It has different meaning, but one is like my dearest.
Yeah.
So that Azizum.
Yeah. Perfect.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much, Abdul.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Stephen.
joining us.
Thank you very much, Keith. And thanks for having me.
Right. Another episode, season 6, episode 7 in the bag. Really enjoyed it.
Thought it was class. We did a bit of everything in the podcast this evening. Thanks very much to our young apprentices for coming in, sharing their insights. And Abdul, what a story. Actually pleasantly surprised. He's a bundle of knowledge, and look forward to hearing what he's going to do in the future.
Yeah, it's it really puts things into perspective about your own life and not judging other people and the struggles that they've gone through when you haven't really got a clue or a standing to what it's actually like to live in those conditions. So it's opened my eyes. It's opened my eyes up to, you know, how my kids are being brought up and how lucky we are to have the life that we have over here, with no war and, you know, people trying to kill you every day. It's a major thing to really say, but it's simple life's pleasures that we are lucky to have.
Yeah, and look, this is not us trying to, you know, push our judgment or our thoughts or opinions on anybody else. Look, just what we'd say is, you know, don't judge the book by its cover. Get to know the people, give them a chance, and whatever you want to think after that, that's completely your own opinion. So
yeah, here. Big shout out to our sponsor, Robust Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company, for their continued support.
Yeah, and a big thank you to Snickers Workwear Ireland, who have been kind enough to support us on this episode and this season. So yeah, thanks very much, Lindsay.
100%. And I guess if you liked this episode, make sure you head over to wherever you get your podcast, give us a follow to be notified when the next one drops. Take it easy, everyone.
Talk to you next week.